Okay, guys. I was recording something else, but I know I already talked about this, but I keep seeing people celebrating, and I'm like, okay, maybe I need to talk about this because I feel like a lot of Nigerians have forgotten that officials like to distract us with mundane things so that we won't focus on our focus. See, in case you don't know, this whole Bobrisky issue, which again I can't even believe that we are focusing on Bobrisky, but this whole Bobrisky issue to me is nothing but a distraction from the things that are important. And I think one of their weapons is to use your own prejudice against you. They already know that a lot of people don't like Bobrisky, so they went after him, and so many people are celebrating. Meanwhile, many of them are not even asking, how come they concluded Bobrisky's case within 3 weeks? They arrested him, they arraigned him, they sentenced him, he's already in prison, all within 3 weeks. You know, if they can ensure justice because somebody abused Naira that cannot talk, if they can ensure justice for that, don't you think they should be quicker to arrest, arraign, and sentence those that are stealing our money? At least Bobrisky was spraying his own money. That is why he was arrested. But some people have stolen the money that is meant for you to have good roads, which is causing a lot of accidents on our roads, killing a lot of people. They've stolen money meant for you to have good hospitals, stable electricity, running water, which is making life difficult for a lot of people, millions of people every day. But many Nigerians are celebrating. They are saying that Bobrisky is influencing their children. I'm sorry to say, but if your children have access to the internet, they have access to millions of influencers, both the God-fearing influencers and the ungodly influencers. You cannot get rid of all the influencers. In fact, Bobrisky's page, it's not public. He didn't make it public. He has always made it private. You would have to request to follow him, and he would have to accept before you can see any of his activities on Instagram. If your children have access to the internet, I think there are bigger things to worry about online, like pornography. If you can train your child not to be watching porn, then you can definitely train them not to go on Bobrisky's Instagram page if you don't want them to. Because if you think that arresting Bobrisky is what will keep your children straight, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but you may be in for a rude awakening. But you know, I digress. My main point is that look at the present Senate President, for example, former Governor Akpabio. The man was accused of allegedly stealing 100 billion when he was the governor of Akwa Ibom between 2007 and 2015. 100 billion naira. He's been under investigation by this same EFCC since 2015. That immunity no longer covers him. 9 years now, we are still on the matter. Meanwhile, the Network Against Corruption and Trafficking said the amount he actually allegedly stole was 1 trillion, not 100 billion. People's money. Just imagine where Akwa Ibom would be today if that 100 billion or 1 trillion was actually invested in Akwa Ibom between 2011 and 2015. Think of how many jobs would have been created by now. Think of how their schools would be. Think of how many families would have been lifted out of poverty. It baffles me that all the EFCC did was to urge him to turn himself in. They didn't go to his house to arrest him like they arrested Bobrisky. In fact, the last time they urged him to turn himself in was May of last year. Today he's the Senate President, number 3 in command. After the President, Vice President, it is Akpabio, the man who allegedly stole 100 billion. He's the Senate President. He's walking freely. He has access to more money. He celebrated his birthday at a huge stadium. It's not like they don't know where he is. His office is not far from EFCC's office. In fact, all the 3 lawmakers that contested for Senate President this time around, they all have pending corruption cases. You know, like the former governor of Zamfara, he also tried to be Senate President. That is a former governor, Yari. Do you know that besides the 80 billion naira that he allegedly stole working with the former accountant general, do you know that in 2021, EFCC said that he also attempted to illegally move 300 billion naira from a corporate account into a generation bank? Do you know that? Guys, do you think that we'll still be having all these Boko Haram issues, all these bandit issues in Zamfara state if the governor of Zamfara invested all that money, all those billions that he allegedly stole from the state? Do you think we'll still? I don't think so. If he invested it in education in Zamfara, in creating jobs, in providing basic amenities, running water, good roads in Zamfara, Zamfara shouldn't be where it is by now. Today he's a lawmaker. You know, his office is not far from EFCC's office. They didn't pick him up. I'm really disappointed because the new EFCC chairman is a pastor. The RCCG pastor, Pastor Olanipekun Olukoyede. You know, do well, sir. You know, when the man became the EFCC chairman, a lot of people were excited that, now they will start going after all the big thieves. Now we have a pastor there, you know. We were expecting high-profile cases. I'm sorry, but we were not. I'm sorry. We were not expecting Bobrisky. It was just... That's just not what we were expecting. But as a man of God, if you can go after Bobrisky for spraying Naira, let's pretend that that's why you actually arrested him. Haven't you seen the video of the governor of Niger State, for example, spraying money on the street? Esther, let's not use double standards. When are you arresting the governor of Niger State for abusing the Naira? I forgot he has immunity. Yeah, we like to give immunity to people that are allegedly thieves. But even though he has immunity, would you invite him just for him to know that what he did was wrong? And not just him, all the high-profile people that are spraying the Naira. When will you arrest them? It's funny how they didn't even give him the option of paying a fine, even though the law says that he should be able to pay a fine. Anyways, more importantly, Daddy Olukoyede, this is not an attack on you, but when will you arrest and arraign people that are stealing billions, like the Senate President Akpabio that we talked about, like the former governor of Zamfara State, former Governor Yari, like former Governor El Rufai, who has now been accused of, people whose actions have directly affected the well-being of millions of your citizens. It's just a question, when will you? At least they are no longer protected by immunity. But what do I know? By the way, guys, do you know that you can also be arrested for rejecting the Naira? Like if somebody gives you Naira, you don't want it and you reject it. Maybe if you throw it back because they didn't actually explain what rejection means. But you can be arrested for rejecting Naira. Do you know that? Also, you can be arrested for arranging Naira like a flower bouquet. I know, it's crazy. That's something that a lot of people do now when they're celebrating their birthdays. But you can be prosecuted for that. Who knew? Anyway, sorry that I'm just rambling at you guys, but let me know what you think, because personally I think this is just a distraction. I don't see how the lives of people have gotten better since Bobrisky was put away. And then he will come out again in 6 months, and what do you think would happen? What do you think would happen? Life goes on. So let me know what you guys think about EFCC going after Bobrisky one more time.